everything that a man says is as innocent as it sounds. There are some phrases, some things, some words that can signal a deeper issue that just can't be ignored. So in today's video, I am going to break down those things for you so you can run and not rationalize. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Keeping It Real with Kiaundra. I am your host, licensed marriage and family therapist, Kiaundra Jackson. So before we get into it, I need for you to put in the comment section, what are some additional things to this list that you would add where you know that if a man says this, you need to run and run real fast. The first thing that if you hear a man says this, you should run is if he says, "That's just how I am, take it or leave it." Now, this speaks to someone who has a fixed mindset. That means they don't have a growth mindset. And essentially that means that they are rigid. They have issues with shifting and changing. They don't have accountability. They want to just stay right where they are without any type of positive change. Because we know that healthy relationships require accountability, flexibility, not being rigid, and a willingness to continue to grow, change, and evolve in a positive way. Now, before I move on to the next one, I don't want you to think verbatim, if this person says this, then that's the only way that you should run. There has to be some type of variation of the thing that I'm saying. So I want you to keep that in mind while we're moving through this list. The second thing that you should run away fast from a man if he says these things are gaslighting statements. And in this one, I just want to give you guys a few examples because gaslighting is a whole different conversation for a whole nother day. But if he says things like, "You're too sensitive. Everyone else agrees with me. After everything I've done for you, ... These are all examples of gaslighting statements. And all of these speaks to different issues, but we know gaslighting essentially makes you question your own reality. It got you thinking like, wait, well, maybe he's right. Maybe I am a little bit too sensitive. Maybe, nobody else will put up with me. And that's emotional manipulation. And we've talked about how that is a form of emotional abuse. So just know those statements that I just gave you are guilt tripping tactics. They are undermining your confidence and it's not healthy at all. Run, girl, run. And the third thing that if a man says these, that you should probably run is name calling and labeling. Now, when we talk about name calling, we can get real nasty and dirty and mean and disrespectful, right? We know what all of those words can entail, like the B word or whore or you're ugly or, all of these different things. We get that. But also, too, labeling and classifying and putting you in a particular category where you don't deserve to be is also a form of something that you should probably run from. So things like you're a drama queen, things like you're crazy, things like, "Well, you so needy." Those are all labels that he is placing on you. And it allows you to think that he's already put you in a particular category. So that means he already has this perspective and this idea of you. And these types of statements are meant to question you, to second guess, have you second guessing yourself or having you feeling real belittled or just not confident in yourself at all. And that's not what you should do in any type of dating or romantic situation. The fourth statement that you should probably run if he says this is something along the lines of, "My ex was crazy. You're nothing like her." Now, while that may be true in some types of scenarios, anytime a person consistently villainizes their ex, that's a red flag for me because that means that your ex may have been a little cray-cray, but that doesn't mean you have to put that person down, that you have to talk bad about them, that you have to speak negatively about them. What I would encourage that person to do is do some self-reflection because it takes two to tango, right? And so while there may be some situations where it truly was just one person in the relationship, it oftentimes was like, hey, you also had a piece in this as well. Where's your accountability? So if you don't hear him say things like, "My ex was a little bit crazy, but I also could have done X, Y, and Z better," or "She did do this to me and I didn't like that, but I have to take accountability and I could have done things differently. I could have said things differently." If there isn't any ounce of accountability, run, Forrest. Run. The fifth word or phrase that a man may say that you need to run from is, "I don't believe in therapy," or "I don't believe in talking about my feelings." Ooh, this just sends shivers down my spine and not in a good way. Obviously, I'm a licensed therapist, so of course I would encourage most people to go to therapy when needed. But if they're also stating that they don't talk about feelings, that's not their thing, I don't want to do that, that means there's a lot underneath the surface that he has yet to unpack. We're not talking about perfection here, but if someone is not willing to talk about their thoughts and their feelings, that also means that they're lacking vulnerability and probably lacking honesty as well, because they're keeping some things in that they haven't verbalized and stated out loud. That's a recipe for disaster. The sixth thing that a man may say to you that you may want to run from is if he says something along the lines of, I'm just brutally honest like that. That's just how I am. I'm just direct. I'm just blunt. That's just how I am. Take it or leave it. Now, while there are some people who are very much direct and very much straight to the point, I tend to be one of those people. I'm a straight shooter all day. So I completely understand that. But you also have to be cautious about how you say things as well. Honesty is important, but if you are being harsh, mean, and disrespectful to convey your needs, that's not cool. And it honestly speaks to a place of emotional immaturity and an area that you need to grow in. The seventh thing that a man may say to you that you probably should run from is if he says something along the lines of, no one will put up with you like I do. Straight up, this is a form of emotional manipulation, y'all. It is meant to lower your self-esteem and have you not only doubt yourself, but also doubt the connection and the relationship too. I don't even have anything else to say about this one. Moving on. The eighth thing that a man may say to you that you should probably run from is if he says something along the lines of, you shouldn't feel that way. Whoa, let me tell you how dismissive and manipulative that can be as well. Because what it does is it invalidates your emotions. It makes you feel like what you're feeling and what you're thinking is invalid. And just because something is hard to understand doesn't mean it needs to be invalidated. A true, healthy partnership is meant to validate your feelings, affirm your feelings, even if they don't understand them. Instead of shutting them down, they should be embracing all of what you're sharing and allowing you the safe space to do so consistently. The ninth thing that a man may say that you probably may want to run from if he says this is, that's not that big of a deal. If a man is consistently, I had to sit up with this one. If a man is consistently downplaying your thoughts, feelings, and emotions, that makes you feel extremely unheard. But it also diminishes your trust. In a healthy relationship, both partners' concerns matter, not just one or the other. And last but not least, the 10th thing that if a man may say this, you might want to run is, let's agree to disagree. Now, this one's a little tricky. I wasn't sure if I was going to add this one on the list or not, because I have personally said this in work, family, romantic partnerships, all of the things. But what I did add this on here because it speaks to this ambivalence. Like, you're kind of on the fence of like, we're not going to fully agree, but we're also not going to disagree either. So we're not getting to some type of resolve. So I agree that saying this can kind of immediately end a disagreement or an argument or a dispute almost immediately. It still can also be dismissive because you're not addressing the real problem and you're still leaving the real issue unresolved completely. So let me give my final thoughts on this. I had to add this list and I had to get it together. There was a whole bunch of things that I wanted to add on here. I might do a part 2 on this one because it was getting really juicy and good to me. But like I mentioned earlier in the video, I don't want you to think that if a man says these verbatim, that's the only time you should run. If there's any type of variation of the things that I'm saying, I don't want you to be like, well, Kiaundra, he didn't say the exact word after word after word that you said, so I thought it was okay. No, boo-boo. Any variation of what I am saying. So I want you to think about this list. Think about some things that have been said already in your partnerships and dating and marriage, wherever you're at on your journey, and see if any of these things are on there, right? And I also want y'all to comment below, like I mentioned earlier, what are some additional ones that you would add? Like, if a man says this to you, ladies, what would you do? Okay, are you running? Are you staying? Are you trying to rationalize or what? And also, men, if you are watching this, because there's some of y'all men be watching my videos too, what are some things that you know you shouldn't be saying to women that you say to us anyway? Yeah. Anywho, thank you so much for watching another episode of Keeping It Real with Kiaundra. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, stay connected because it helps me to create more content like this for you all every single week. I appreciate you for being here and I will see you next time. Be blessed. Bye.